In the heart of the forested kingdom of Umuoma, a young man named Akanu had a gift that made him the pride of his humble lineage. His hands could coax rhythms from a drum that seemed to speak to the gods themselves. A griot's apprentice, Akanu traveled from village to village, sharing tales of ancestors, legends, and divine blessings through his music. At the annual Festival of Abundance, his talent shone brighter than ever before. The kingdom's rulers, elders, and villagers gathered to celebrate the harvest under the light of a full moon. Nwanyi, a radiant young woman known for her intelligence and charm, sat among the crowd with her mother, Ezine, the formidable leader of Umuoma. Ezine was a woman of unparalleled authority, feared and respected for her ability to outmaneuver any rival. Her leadership had brought peace and prosperity to Umuoma, but her ambition often overshadowed her softer side, especially when it came to her only daughter. As Akanu played his drum, Nwanyi's heart felt as if it had found its rhythm in the melody. Her eyes met Akanu's as he looked up from his instrument, their connection instant and electric. Though they had never spoken, it was as if they had known each other in another life. Nwanyi's friend whispered, "He's only a griot's apprentice, don't let your heart wander." But Nwanyi couldn't pull her gaze away. After the festival, Nwanyi lingered near the clearing where Akanu packed his drums. Summoning courage, she approached him. "Your music. It's unlike anything I've heard before," she said, her voice soft yet firm. Akanu's face lit up. "Thank you, my lady. It is an honor to play for the people of Umuoma. I am Nwanyi," she introduced herself. "Your name?" "Akanu," he replied, bowing slightly. "But I am just a griot's apprentice. Nothing more." "To me, your music is everything," Nwanyi said with a smile. She lingered a moment longer before her friends called her away. Akanu watched her leave, his heart racing. He had seen beauty before, but none like Nwanyi. That night, Akanu lay under the stars, his thoughts consumed by Nwanyi's radiant smile and bold words. Meanwhile, Nwanyi's mind was filled with the rhythm of Akanu's drums, her heart longing for a connection that seemed impossible. The moonlight bore silent witness to the birth of a bond destined to face trials neither could foresee. Nwanyi's days were often filled with lessons in leadership, taught sternly by her mother, Ezine. As the leader of Umuoma, Ezine's expectations for her daughter were high. Nwanyi was to marry a man of power and influence, someone who could strengthen their family's legacy. For this reason, Ezine had already set her sights on Obiora, the wealthy leader of a neighboring village. His wealth and influence made him the ideal candidate, but Nwanyi's heart yearned for something more than alliances and wealth. However, Nwanyi's thoughts were elsewhere. She found excuses to visit the sacred river, a place where Akanu often practiced his drumming in solitude. Their meetings were fleeting yet meaningful, their bond deepening with each secret conversation. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Nwanyi arrived at the river to find Akanu playing a soft, mournful tune. The golden light reflected off the water, creating an almost magical scene. "Why does your music sound so sad today?" she asked, sitting beside him. "Because my heart knows this cannot last," Akanu said, his hands resting on the drum. "You are the daughter of Ezine, the greatest leader of Umuoma. And I am nothing but a wandering musician." "Don't say that," Nwanyi replied, her voice firm. "To me, you are more than enough." Their connection grew stronger with each meeting, but the shadow of their societal differences loomed large. Nwanyi knew her mother would never approve, and Akanu feared the consequences of their forbidden love. Yet they could not help but be drawn to each other, like the river drawn to the sea. One night, as they sat beneath the ancient baobab tree, Akanu gifted Nwanyi a small, intricately carved drum pendant. "So you can carry my music with you, wherever you go," he said. Nwanyi accepted it with tears in her eyes, her heart swelling with emotion. "This means more to me than you know," she whispered. Whispers of Nwanyi's secret meetings with Akanu began to circulate among the villagers. It was said that the winds carried secrets to those who listened closely, and in a village as tight-knit as Umuoma, secrets rarely remained hidden for long. Ezine, ever watchful, noticed changes in her daughter. Nwanyi, once obedient and focused, now seemed distracted, her mind often wandering. She hummed unfamiliar tunes and gazed longingly into the distance. Ezine's suspicions grew, and she instructed her trusted servant, Ozioma, to keep a close eye on Nwanyi. One evening, Ozioma followed Nwanyi to the sacred river and witnessed her meeting with Akanu. She returned to Ezine with the news. Furious, Ezine summoned Nwanyi to her chamber. "You dare defy me?" Ezine's voice thundered. "You risk everything for a griot's apprentice. Do you know the shame this would bring to our family?" Nwanyi stood her ground, her heart pounding. I love him, mother. He is not just a drummer. He is a man of courage and heart. Love isn't scoffed. Love does not build alliances or protect a kingdom. You will marry Obiora, and that is final. Nwanyi's protests fell on deaf ears. Ezen tightened her control, forbidding Nwanyi from leaving the compound. The gates of the family estate, once open for her every whim, now became barriers to her freedom. Servants watched her every move, reporting directly to Ezen. Meanwhile, Akano, unaware of the storm brewing, continued to dream of a future with Nwanyi. He practiced his music with renewed purpose, each rhythm carrying the hope of their reunion. But as the days turned to weeks, Nwanyi's absence at the river filled his heart with unease. One fateful night, Akano decided to send a message. Through a trusted friend, he smuggled a small scroll to Nwanyi. The note read, "The rhythm of my heart beats only for you. Meet me beneath the baobab tree when the moon is fullest." Nwanyi clutched the note tightly, her heart racing. She knew the risks, but her love for Akano burned brighter than her fear. The winds carried her whispered promise, "I will come." The moon hung high in the sky, its silver glow casting a serene light over the kingdom of Umwoma. Beneath the ancient baobab tree, Akano stood with his drum slung across his back, his heart pounding with anticipation. He gazed into the distance, his ears straining for any sound that might signal Nwanyi's arrival. The silence of the night was broken only by the rustling leaves, whispering secrets carried by the wind. When Nwanyi finally appeared, her figure illuminated by the moonlight, Akano felt a wave of relief and joy. She wore a simple flowing wrapper, her hair tied back in a modest braid. In her hands, she clutched the drum pendant he had given her. "I was afraid you wouldn't come," Akano said, his voice trembling with emotion. "How could I not?" Nwanyi replied, stepping closer. "Your words in the note gave me strength." For a moment, they stood in silence, the gravity of their situation pressing down on them. Akano reached for Nwanyi's hands, holding them tightly. "I will not let anything separate us," he vowed. "Not your mother, not the elders, not anyone." "But what can we do?" Nwanyi asked, her voice laced with desperation. "My mother has made it clear that I am to marry Obiora. She has eyes and ears everywhere." Akano's gaze hardened with determination. "Then we will leave Umwoma. Together." Nwanyi gasped. "Leave? But where would we go? This is my home, Akano. I cannot abandon my people." "Our love is worth any sacrifice," Akano said. "If we stay, they will tear us apart. Out there, beyond the borders of Umwoma, we can build a life together." Nwanyi hesitated, her heart torn between her love for Akano and her loyalty to her family. She knew the risks of defying her mother, but the thought of losing Akano was unbearable. "If we do this," she said finally, "we must be careful. My mother will not let me go so easily." They spent the rest of the night planning their escape, their whispered promises carried away by the gentle breeze. Akano would gather provisions and prepare for their journey, while Nwanyi would find a way to slip past the guards that watched her every move. They agreed to meet again in 3 nights beneath the baobab tree, ready to leave their old lives behind. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, Nwanyi reluctantly tore herself away from Akano's embrace. "Be safe," she said, her voice trembling. "I will see you soon." Akano watched her disappear into the shadows, his heart heavy with both hope and fear. He knew the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but his love for Nwanyi gave him the strength to face whatever lay ahead. The rhythm of his drum would guide their steps, a melody of courage and defiance that no force could silence. Back at the compound, Nwanyi slipped into her chambers, just as the first servants began to stir. She clutched the drum pendant tightly, her resolve strengthening with each passing moment. She knew the coming days would test her in ways she could not yet imagine, but her love for Akano burned brighter than. Will Nwanyi and Akano's love survive the rising tension, or will Ezina's iron will tear them apart? Join us in part 2 as the stakes get higher, secrets unravel, and the bond between two hearts faces its toughest test yet.
3 days passed, each hour feeling like a lifetime for Akano and Nwanyi. As the appointed night approached, Akano prepared for their escape with meticulous care. He secured provisions for their journey, dried fruits, ground yam flour, and a small water gourd. His drum, the heart of his craft, was safely strapped to his back. To Akano, the drum symbolized not only his livelihood, but also the promise of a new life with Nwanyi. Meanwhile, Nwanyi faced growing challenges. The servants' eyes on her seemed sharper, their movements swifter as if sensing her intentions. Her mother's stern demeanor grew harsher, and every word from Ezine felt like an unspoken warning. Nwanyi, however, held her resolve. She spent her days pretending to accept her fate while secretly planning her departure. When the appointed night arrived, Nwanyi managed to slip past the guards by feigning illness earlier in the evening, a ploy that sent them into a false sense of security. She carried only a small satchel containing the drum pendant, a shawl, and the bare essentials she could gather without arousing suspicion. Her heart raced as she made her way to the baobab tree, her mind focused solely on Akanu. Akanu was already waiting, his figure silhouetted against the pale moonlight. When he saw her, his face lit up with relief and joy. "You came," he whispered, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I couldn't bear the thought of staying," Nwanyi replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "Let's go before anyone realizes I'm gone." They began their journey through the dense forest, guided by the soft light of the moon and the rhythmic sound of Akanu's drum beats. Each step felt like freedom, the weight of their burdens lifting as they moved further away from the village. However, their hope was short-lived. Unbeknownst to them, Ozioma, the loyal servant, had overheard fragments of their plans. Torn between loyalty to Ezine and pity for Nwanyi, Ozioma hesitated, but ultimately chose to inform her mistress. Ezine, upon learning of her daughter's betrayal, wasted no time. She ordered a group of guards to retrieve Nwanyi and punish Akanu for his insolence. The guards caught up with the fleeing couple near the edge of the forest. Akanu and Nwanyi heard the distant sound of footsteps and knew their time was running out. Akanu turned to Nwanyi, his expression fierce. "Go. I will hold them off." "No," Nwanyi cried, clutching his arm. "I will not leave you." "You must," Akanu insisted, his voice firm but filled with pain. "If they catch us together, they will show no mercy. Please, Nwanyi. For me." With tears streaming down her face, Nwanyi reluctantly obeyed. She ran into the shadows of the forest, her heart breaking with each step that took her further from Akanu. Behind her, she heard the sound of shouting and the sharp clash of metal as the guards confronted Akanu. When the guards finally reached him, Akanu stood his ground. He raised his drum and began to play, the powerful rhythm echoing through the trees. The sound was defiant, a declaration of his love and courage. Though he was outnumbered, Akanu refused to surrender without a fight. Ezine arrived moments later, her face a mask of cold fury. She ordered the guards to cease their attack. "You," she said, addressing Akanu with venom in her voice. "You have dared to defy me and corrupt my daughter. For that, you will pay dearly." Akanu, though bruised and battered, met her gaze without flinching. "Your daughter is not a possession to be bartered, Ezine. She is a woman with a heart and a mind of her own. And she chose love over fear." Ezine's expression faltered for a brief moment, but her resolve hardened. "Take him away," she commanded. "And find my daughter." As the guards dragged Akanu away, his drum fell to the ground, its rhythmic echo fading into silence. Nwanyi, hidden in the depths of the forest, clutched the drum pendant tightly, her tears falling freely. She knew their love had set something unstoppable in motion, and though they were apart, their bond remained unbroken. Nwanyi's footsteps faltered as she reached the edge of the forest, her heart torn between safety and the sound of Akanu's drum fading into silence. Her mother's relentless pursuit and Akanu's defiant bravery had left her reeling. Each step she took seemed heavier than the last, as she finally found refuge in an abandoned hut hidden within the dense woods. There she crouched, clutching the drum pendant, the last tangible piece of Akanu she had. The night was still, save for the faint hum of cicadas and the occasional rustle of leaves. But Nwanyi's mind was a tempest. She thought of Akanu's face, his unwavering courage, and his promise that their love was worth any sacrifice. Her tears mixed with anger and resolve. "I cannot let this end here," she whispered to herself. Meanwhile, Akanu was brought to the village square, where Ezine declared his punishment in front of the gathered villagers. "This man has defied the honor of our family and our traditions," she said, her voice cold and resolute. "He will be exiled from Umuoma, never to return." The crowd murmured among themselves, some in agreement with Ezine's judgment, others quietly pitying the young griot. Akanu stood tall, his injuries visible but his spirit unbroken. He met Ezine's gaze and said, "You may exile me, but you cannot extinguish the truth. Nwanyi's heart is her own, and no decree can change that." Ezine's face hardened, but before she could respond, Ozioma stepped forward. "My lady," she said hesitantly, "perhaps this punishment will not bring the peace you seek. The people speak of the gods frowning upon such division. Perhaps a more merciful path, Enough, Ezine cut her off. This matter is decided. As the guards escorted Akanu out of the village, he carried only his drum, a symbol of his defiance and hope. His hands, though bruised, still caressed the drum's surface as if drawing strength from its rhythm. In the forest, Nwanyi had made a decision. She would not wait for fate to act. Guided by the faint moonlight, she began to make her way back toward the village, knowing the risk she was taking. As she moved, she heard a distant rhythmic drumming. It was faint but unmistakable, the sound of Akanu's defiance. Her heart leapt with both fear and determination. She had to find him. By dawn, Nwanyi reached the outskirts of the village and saw Akanu being led away by the guards. Summoning all her courage, she stepped into their path. "Stop," she called out, her voice firm and commanding. The guards hesitated, unsure of how to proceed. Akanu's eyes widened in shock. "Nwanyi, what are you doing?" he asked, his voice filled with both awe and fear. "I will not let you go alone," she said, stepping closer. "If you exile him, you exile me too. I will not remain in a place that denies my heart." Ezine arrived moments later, her expression a mixture of fury and disbelief. "Nwanyi, return to the compound this instant." "No, mother," Nwanyi replied, her voice steady. "You taught me to be strong, to lead with courage. This is my choice, and I will stand by it." The villagers watched in silence, the tension thick in the air. Some whispered among themselves, admiring Nwanyi's bravery, while others feared Ezine's reaction. For the first time, Ezine hesitated. She saw the fire in her daughter's eyes, a reflection of her own younger self. Akanu stepped forward, his drum held tightly. "Ezine," he said softly. "Let her decide her path. You may hate me, but do not punish her for loving freely." Ezine's gaze softened ever so slightly. She took a deep breath and said, "If you leave everything behind. Do you understand that, Nwanyi?" "I understand," Nwanyi said firmly. "But love is worth more than anything you can offer." After a long silence, Ezine finally nodded. "Go then. Both of you. But know that this is the path you have chosen, and there is no return." Akanu and Nwanyi exchanged a glance, their hearts swelling with relief and determination. Hand in hand, they left the village, the sound of Akanu's drum marking their journey into the unknown. For the first time, they were truly free, bound only by their love and the promise of a new beginning. Will Akanu and Nwanyi's daring plans finally lead them to freedom, or will the forces against them shatter their dreams forever? As secrets unravel and the stakes reach their peak, Part 3 holds the answers you've been waiting for. Don't miss the twists, the drama, and the fight for love. Watch now. The journey beyond Umwoma was fraught with uncertainty, but for Akanu and Nwanyi, each step into the unknown was a declaration of freedom. The sun rose above the dense forest, casting golden light on their path. Akanu's drumbeats echoed softly as they walked, a rhythm of hope and courage that propelled them forward. The landscape changed as they ventured further from the village. Rolling hills gave way to lush valleys, and the air grew cooler as they climbed higher ground. By midday, they reached a riverbank, where they paused to rest and drink from the crystal-clear waters. Nwanyi leaned against a rock, her gaze fixed on Akanu as he adjusted the strap of his drum. "We did it," she said, her voice tinged with both relief and disbelief. "We're free." Akanu smiled, his eyes filled with warmth. "Yes, but freedom is only the beginning. We must build a life beyond these borders." They continued their journey, encountering friendly travelers who shared stories of distant lands. One merchant spoke of a bustling marketplace in the town of Oriko, a place where artists and musicians were celebrated. Inspired by the tales, Akanu and Nwanyi decided to head there, hoping to carve out a new life among kindred spirits. As they traveled, Akanu's music became their lifeline. His drumbeats attracted the attention of villagers along the way, who welcomed them with open arms. In exchange for his performances, they were offered food and shelter. Nwanyi marveled at how Akanu's gift brought people together, bridging gaps of culture and language. One evening, as they camped beneath a canopy of stars, Akanu began to play a soft melody. Nwanyi closed her eyes, letting the rhythm wash over her. "Your music is magic," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It has the power to heal and unite." Akanu paused, his hands resting on the drum. "It's not just my music," he said. "It's our story. Every beat is a testament to what we've overcome and what we're building together. The days turned into weeks, and the hardships of the road tested their resolve. There were nights when hunger gnawed at their stomachs and storms drenched them to the bone. Yet, through every trial, their bond grew stronger. They learned to rely on each other, finding strength in their love and shared dreams. When they finally reached Oriko, the town exceeded their expectations. The marketplace was alive with color and sound, a vibrant tapestry of cultures and traditions. Musicians played on every corner, their melodies blending into a harmonious symphony. Artists displayed their crafts, and merchants called out to passers-by with goods from distant lands. Akanu and Nwanyi found a small inn where they could stay, using the last of their coins to pay for a modest room. That evening, Akanu performed in the marketplace, his drum beats drawing a crowd. Nwanyi watched with pride as people gathered around, captivated by his talent. Among the spectators was an elder named Baba Ikena, a renowned musician and mentor in Oriko. After Akanu's performance, Baba Ikena approached them, his eyes twinkling with admiration. "Young man," he said, "your music carries a depth and spirit that is rare. Oriko could use someone like you." Akanu and Nwanyi exchanged a hopeful glance. "We would be honored," Akanu said. "But we seek more than a place to perform. We seek a home." Baba Ikena smiled. "Then let Oriko be your home. I will help you find your place here." For the first time since leaving Umwoma, Akanu and Nwanyi felt a sense of belonging. The distant horizon they had chased was now within reach, promising a future where their love and dreams could flourish. Life in Oriko blossomed for Akanu and Nwanyi. With Baba Ikena's guidance, Akanu's music became a cornerstone of the town's culture. He performed at festivals, marketplaces, and village gatherings, his rhythms weaving stories of hope, love, and resilience that resonated deeply with the people. Nwanyi too found her calling, organizing community events and teaching children to read and write, her efforts uniting the town in harmony. Their small home in Oriko became a haven for travelers and artists alike. Nwanyi's vibrant personality and Akanu's soulful music made their space one of inspiration and warmth. Together, they created a sanctuary where differences were celebrated, and every visitor left with a renewed sense of purpose. One day, as Akanu tuned his drum under the shade of a towering iroko tree, Baba Ikena approached with a thoughtful expression. "Akanu, the town council has been discussing a grand festival to honor our shared heritage. They want you to lead it." Akanu's eyes widened. "Me? Lead the festival?" "Yes," Baba Ikena said, his voice brimming with pride. "Your music has brought this town closer than ever. Who better to guide us in celebrating our unity?" Nwanyi, standing nearby, smiled brightly. "You've always had a gift for bringing people together, Akanu. This is your moment to inspire even more." The weeks leading to the festival were filled with preparation. Akanu composed new melodies, blending the rhythms of Umwoma with the vibrant sounds of Oriko, creating a symphony that spoke of unity and hope. Nwanyi, alongside the town's artisans, organized dances, plays, and storytelling sessions that showcased the rich culture of their new home. On the day of the festival, the town square was alive with color and sound. Lanterns hung from every corner, and the air buzzed with excitement. Villagers gathered from far and wide, their laughter and chatter creating a melody of its own. Akanu stood at the center of it all, his drum poised and ready. As the first beats echoed through the square, the crowd fell silent. Akanu's hands moved with purpose, the rhythms carrying stories of love, struggle, and triumph. The drum beats intertwined with the dancers' movements and the storytellers' words, creating a tapestry of sound and emotion that transcended language and culture. Nwanyi watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride. Akanu's music had always been powerful, but today, it carried a depth and strength that brought tears to her eyes. She saw the faces in the crowd, children laughing, elders nodding in understanding, strangers becoming friends, and knew they had created something extraordinary. As the festival reached its climax, Akanu stepped forward, his voice clear and strong. "This music is not just mine. It belongs to all of us. It is the rhythm of our hearts, the sound of our dreams, and the voice of our shared journey. Together, we can overcome any challenge, for love and unity will always prevail." The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing across the square. Nwanyi joined Akanu on stage, her hand slipping into his. Together, they bowed to the audience, their smiles reflecting the joy and gratitude they felt. As the festival ended, Akanu addressed the audience one final time. "Let our story be a reminder that love and courage can overcome even the greatest of obstacles. When we choose unity over division, and kindness over fear, we create a world that thrives. Moral lesson. The story of Akanu and Nwanyi teaches us that love, courage, and perseverance can bridge divides and overcome challenges. It reminds us to follow our hearts and stay true to our values, even in the face of adversity. True happiness lies not in possessions or status, but in the connections we build and the love we share. Thank you for watching this heartfelt journey of Akanu and Nwanyi. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. Let us know in the comments what you learned from this story. See you in the next adventure.